session for today is on understanding. So, understanding is similar to knowledge, but it is not the same. Knowledge is information, and understanding is how you perceive or discern the information that you have received. Understanding is the interpretation of thoughts, feelings, and actions of yourself and others. But that interpretation that you have is based on the knowledge that you receive. So often we'll have knowledge of someone or a situation, but not have the understanding because we don't have the full knowledge or haven't heard all the sides, right? Sometimes we get the knowledge, but then we lean to our own understanding, right? Or our own distorted view of things that we've been trying to get rid of these last few sessions. So don't have wisdom without knowledge. There's no way to have wisdom without knowledge. And you don't get knowledge and then forget to get an understanding. Okay. You don't understand wisdom because you haven't found the knowledge, right? All three work together. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding work together. Okay. Having knowledge and wisdom with no understanding does not profit you, right? You can receive information, but if you don't understand what you have received, it's no profit to you. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge, right? Ignorance is the lack of knowledge. It is not knowing, not understanding, or not recognizing. That's what ignorance is. You cannot obtain an understanding until you first obtain knowledge. To understand knowledge, you must hear, you must listen, and you must have the right perspective. Okay. You cannot get an understanding if you're talking all the time and never listening, never hearing, not trying to understand. You apply knowledge using your understanding. And once you apply knowledge, that is wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. Wisdom puts the action to what you know. Okay. We have to stop being so comfortable with not understanding and not knowing and not recognizing when we don't know enough. Okay. We have to stop being comfortable with not knowing enough. Okay. How we perceive things affects how we function, which affects how others perceive who we are. I'll say that again. How we perceive things affects how we function, which also affects how other people perceive who we are. There can be wrong assumptions of you because of how you're functioning, right? They say if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, it's a duck, right? So if you're walking, talking, and acting like something, people will assume that's who you are, okay? So there can be wrong assumptions of you because of how you're functioning. So if you want someone to understand you, you have to stop being another version of yourself, okay? It's hard to explain what you feel when you don't even understand who you are. So it keeps going back to being your authentic self, right? Having an understanding, people having an understanding of who you are, all of that is surrounding the fact that you know who you are and that you are representing and being who you are. So if somebody is telling you, hey, you're acting like this, maybe that's how they understand you to be, right? Have you taken a moment to see if that's the knowledge that you've given them of you, right? Have you taken a moment to see if that's the perception that you're putting out there before you take offense? Maybe you're being a different person. Maybe you took on someone else's attributes that is not truly who you are. And so sometimes we get offended quickly and want to bash the person that's telling us, hey, this is how you're acting, without first thinking, okay, I was hanging around someone like that earlier. Maybe I inadvertently took something with me, right? People expect people expect certain things from us because that's the knowledge of us that we're giving them. All right. So we have to be careful of what knowledge of ourselves that we're giving to other people. If it's not you, stop pumping yourself up or stop making yourself low and expecting them to understand who you truly are. Right? Sometimes we pump ourselves up to be more than what we are, or we minimize ourselves. And then we get upset if we've pumped ourselves up and people are expecting more, or if we've minimized ourselves and people are devaluing us, right? What is the knowledge that we're giving them? So hopefully every new person that you've met, you've given them the authentic version, okay? So their response to you should be authentic, whether they truly like you, for you or not. You decide where to place them in your life. That is your choice. But you cannot be mad at who they understand you to be if you've given them the wrong knowledge, if you've given them the wrong information, if you've given them a representative of yourself and not your true authentic self. You can't be upset at how someone understands you to be if you're not being you. Okay? Your current level of functioning revolves around your understanding. Your current level of functioning revolves around your understanding. The way you function is based on your understanding. Okay, it's based on what you've understood from your childhood, your family relationships, your romantic and non-romantic relationships. It's based on what has impacted your life and even your daily functioning, how you encounter difficulties, and your approach is based on your understanding. Your current coping mechanisms based on your understanding. What you think your strengths and your weaknesses are, they're based on your understanding of what a strength is or what a weakness is, okay? Being double-minded or unstable affects your level of understanding. If you have a problem meaning yes when you say yes or no when you mean no, it affects your level of functioning. If it's hard for you to make a decision, it affects how you function. When you have knowledge and you have understanding, you can make a clear choice and you can mean what you say and stand by that. Okay? That's why when you don't understand who you are, your relationships with other people suffer because they can't understand you if you don't understand you. Okay? You've been putting out 12 different people and they don't know which one showed up today. Okay, and we do this a lot of times when we're hurt and we won't say it, so people think that I can say whatever because they don't recognize that you're hurt, right? When people cross our boundaries and we don't acknowledge it, they're gonna push further because they don't realize they've pushed the line. So it's the knowledge that we are giving people about who we are. It is the information that we are giving them about who we are. That's why it's important to set those boundaries. It's important to state how we feel. So then if they come back after that and do the same thing, then there is an understanding that you are purposely trying to do what I told you it did to me before you knew, okay? Without understanding who you are, your vision becomes twisted, okay? Our truth, our gifts, our strengths, a lot of times we hide those things, but we expose our weaknesses. And we don't realize that this is the perspective that we are giving people. So if we refuse to show our strength, people's perspectives of us will be that we are frail and weak, right? But if that's not who you are, that's just who you're showing up as, right? Because we're only exposing to people our weaknesses. We don't want to show them our gifts. We don't want to show them our talents. And then we get offended once again because they're not valuing us as who we truly are, when number one, you have to begin to value yourself as who you truly are. Because if you're putting out there all of your weaknesses, that's what they're going to see. That's the only information that you're giving them. So that's what they're going to understand you to be. Okay? So if you refuse to show your strength, if you refuse to show your truth, your gifts, your talents, and you're exposing your weaknesses, people's perspective of you will be that you are weak. Even if that's not who you are, but that is the information that you are giving them. Okay? That's why I said without understanding who you are, even your vision, your dreams, your goals, they'll be a little twisted. Your view of the world will become based on knowledge that is not credible. Okay? Even your imagination should be based on truth. Okay? There has to be a realm of reality that your imagination travels through. Your imagination infiltrates your innermost thoughts, the thoughts of your heart, your understanding, your intellect, your mind, your insight, right? It uses the mind. It exercises your mental capabilities. Your imagination is an instrument of your intentions and your will through great ideas, right? And it creates your future. But without understanding, your imagination will suffer. You will not have vision or insight for your future, and you will often struggle in finding your purpose. Okay, so even your imagination needs to be based on truth. Okay, lack of understanding also affects your safety and level of fear. Lack of understanding also affects your safety and your level of fear. Being safe is a fact and a feeling or a state of being, okay? And by feeling, I mean, there's an understanding within yourself, within your emotions, within your spirit that you're safe, right? Sometimes you can be safe and not know it because you don't feel safe or you don't understand how you're safe. And then there's other times you feel safe, but the fact is that you're in very real danger, okay? Your safety consists of the fact that you are safe, and also an understanding within your inner man that there is no real need to fear. Okay, so having an understanding also affects your safety and it affects your level of fear. Wherever there is knowledge of the truth, there is freedom. Wherever there is knowledge of the truth, whenever you have information that is true, there is freedom. Truth is the enemy of fear. Truth is an enemy of fear. Fear hates the truth. The truth will send fear out immediately. So you fear, you worry, and you're anxious because you don't have an understanding. You don't know the truth. There's some things you don't know, right? If you think about the scariest thing you've ever encountered, afterwards, when you caught your breath and someone explained to you what happened, did you still feel that same level of fear? You might have felt cautious, but that level of fear should have come down. You no longer fear it because you had an understanding from the knowledge that you received about it, okay? You only fear what you don't have an understanding of, right? You only fear the things that you don't have an understanding of. If you receive knowledge that a dark alley has cameras that are monitored live by law enforcement and they can be there in 2 minutes, you have an understanding that if something were to go down, you will be saved, right? It eliminates the terror and fear, okay? You may still remain cautious, but because you understood what you were informed of, the fear is minimal. Now, if you don't believe what was said, then you still have fear. Okay, but that's a different session. Okay, and so that's another thing. Believing the wrong thing affects our understanding, right? If somebody told you putting your purse on the floor keeps you broke, you won't put your purse on the floor. But if somebody tells you don't obtain more debt than income, you won't do that. So you keep the purse off the floor, but you're still broke because your understanding leans towards a superstition versus a fact. Okay, so often a lot of our understanding is based on falsehoods, and those are the things we have to get rid of. Okay, so that's why I ask you questions that causes you to find the root of your thoughts and your feelings. Because if you find the root of your thoughts and feelings, you'll find out why you do the things the way you do. The people you don't understand, you'll begin to see why they think and move the way that they do, right? You got to get to the root of it. So as you continue setting your foundation, you need to be assured and confident in what you're setting as your base, as your reasoning center, the place your thoughts and feelings are based on, okay? Your confidence, your assurance, it comes in different degrees. It comes in different levels, and it grows based on what you feed it, okay? If you're confident in one thing, if you continue to feed it negativity, you will no longer be confident. Okay, so your assurance and your confidence comes at different degrees and different levels, and it grows based on what you feed it. So when you're listening to things, are you listening to feed your understanding, or do you just want to be heard? You just waiting to say the next thing. And wanting to be heard, do you truly want to be understood? Or have you been raised to believe that the louder you are, the more impactful you are? Or the more you talk, the more you'll be understood? If you are talking from a place that does not care about understanding, you need to be quiet and you need to listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. When you listen, you learn. When you learn, you destroy ignorance. You gain knowledge, you gain wisdom, you gain understanding, okay? So when you're applying knowledge, you become wise. It does no good to have a bunch of information, to have your head swell up with all this knowledge if you're not applying any of it, okay? Your understanding grows based on what you set your heart to believe. You make the decision. You make the choice. You change your perspective and you set your mind to understand. Your comprehension of a circumstance is based on the knowledge you receive about it, okay? If it's a person you don't understand, how much knowledge or how much information do you have about them? And I'm talking about true knowledge, not you heard through so-and-so that heard through so-and-so, right? If you don't understand something, first make sure where you're getting your information is credible, okay? Make sure it's true information so that your understanding can be from a place of truth. That situation that you can't figure out, how much information do you have? And I'm talking about facts, finding the facts, okay? Get wise counsel together, get more facts, run it through your foundational principles, which y'all remember we use the acronym ANCHOR. Where's the authenticity? What do you really think and what do you really feel about it? What are you feeding yourself, right? The N is for nourishment. Are you nourishing your mind and spirit in a healthy way? You will not gain understanding if all you put in your head is negativity. You'll only understand from the negative point of view, okay? Are you in a state of contentment? If you aren't satisfied and seeking a goal, your perspective might be off when you're trying to get an understanding. Honor, H. Is anything you're thinking or feeling dishonorable to you or someone else? These are the things that your thoughts and feelings should go through. So if you're thinking or feeling dishonorable about yourself or others, whatever's coming to you, whatever thoughts coming to you, whatever feeling you feeling, it's not being filtered right. Okay? So if you're thinking or feeling something that is dishonorable to you or someone else, you have to change your perspective and continue to seek for that understanding. The O in ANCHOR is for order. You cannot get understanding in chaos. Make sure you're not in a state of chaos. Control your mind, control your heart, control your emotions. You have to discipline yourself. Okay? And last but not least, which I've already said, this one is having healthy relationships. Get counsel from those who can give you facts, okay? If your relationships with people are not good, you will not feel safe enough to discuss your situation with them. That's why you need good, beneficial relationships as your foundation. Among this group of people should be somebody that you trust more than yourself, so that when they tell you something that you don't like, you know to believe them even if you don't feel like it, right? You know to move on what they say even if you don't feel like it, because you know they're coming from a place of wanting the best for you. Okay? This is how you allow your thoughts and feelings to build on your foundation. So, if your foundation is set, all of your thoughts and all of your feelings go through that, you will have more understanding. You will have a clear mind. You will respond differently. Okay? There are things that we come across daily that we just don't understand. There are people we come across daily that we just don't understand. right? There's things about ourselves, our friends, our family, even our enemies that we want to understand. But before you will understand anything, you must know something. You must obtain knowledge. You must get information. There's no understanding without knowledge. You need knowledge. Knowledge is information. You gain knowledge by asking questions, by observing, by listening, by studying, which means you cannot talk while you're getting information, right? You cannot ignore what you see and what you hear. You cannot be afraid to ask questions when you don't know something. And you must engage in the exchange of quality communication. Okay? That's how you get your information. That's how you get an understanding. Sometimes we fail at things because we don't even want to ask questions about the stuff we don't know. You won't get an understanding if you're not asking questions, right? Because of misunderstandings, we won't take a second to say, I love you. We won't take a second to say, I forgive you. We won't take a second to say, I apologize. I'm wrong. You're right. Right? How many seconds? How many seconds have passed? How many weeks and years have passed that you haven't spoken to someone because of a misunderstanding? Right? What are the things that you still don't understand? What have you done about it? You can't control the actions of others, but you can control yours, right? With the knowledge that you have gained during the last few weeks, what information are you revealing about you to those who may have misunderstood you, right? If you misrepresented yourself to someone, you choose one of the previous statements that takes only a second to say and say it. Okay? Don't focus on their response. Focus on their understanding of who you truly are. Okay? If they fail to see you, if they fail to hear you, then they don't need to know you. Okay? Because to know you means to understand you. Not always agree with you, but definitely understand who you are. Okay, so that was today's session on understanding. It ties right back into us being our authentic self. We can't be mad at how people perceive us to be if we showed up as somebody else, or we show up as a different person every time they see us. Okay, and now you know why some of the people in your lives show up as different people. Okay, they don't understand who they are. And until they obtain that information, until they obtain that knowledge, they will not know who they are. Also, remember, where there is knowledge of the truth, there is freedom. Those that suffer from just terror and fear and anxiety and worry, find out the truth and stick with the truth. Okay, it eliminates the fear. If you're worried about a test, study. When you really study for a test, that fear goes away about it, because you know you have knowledge, you have information. And so I hope this session helped bring home why a lot of things are misunderstood. Please continue working on your foundational principles. Make sure that you're able to base your thoughts and your feelings on that, your responses on that, so that you're not just going around doing the things that were done previous that was not working. Okay, and so today I want to close with our statement. Today is the day for the new me to follow instructions, to be the example for my peers. I will be understanding. Okay, I will be more open to learn how to respond. I will feel happy about all the things that once affected me. I am somebody's answers today and in the future. With what you have learned, with what you have understood, with the information that I have given you, take a moment to listen to others. And when you're speaking to others, make sure you're speaking to them in a manner where you are trying to get them to understand, not prove a point, but to understand. Okay, so that ends our session. I will see you all next Friday. Be blessed.